Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on our news, an NIB contribution increase scrapped, at least for now. Plus, a former cabinet minister launches a suit against the government. And later, business booming. Arawak key vendors happy for increasing sales. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. A sigh of relief for National Insurance Board contributors as the rate increase announced by the minister responsible is a no-go. Prime Minister Philip Davis today setting the record straight on the minister's comments. Berthany McDermott joins us live in studio with more on this. Berthany?
Yes, Christina, following that revelation yesterday by State Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Miles Laroda, the Prime Minister saying that the increase will not happen, at least for now.
It'll be fair that an increase would be coming.
These are difficult times, and it will be a last resort for me to put any more burden on their backs.
While he confirmed that there is a need for an increase, the Prime Minister says government will have to find alternative ways to deal with the depleting NIB fund. As for Laroda's comments on Tuesday, the Prime Minister sought to clarify.
We'll see how we could be innovative and creative to ensure that we do not do such or embrace such an initiative until we have brought the relief that is necessary to allow that to happen. The Minister of State in my office was just speaking the facts, and as was his duty, he is bringing that report to Cabinet for us to look at it and discuss it. We will consider it.
On Tuesday, Laroda said the report was already presented to his cabinet colleagues. He said he expects the contributions to increase by 1.5 to 2% in the next year, with an increase every 2 years after that. His comments come as the latest NIB actuarial review, which is the 11th of its kind, reportedly recommends the rate increase to at least 11.3%. Currently, contributions are at 9.8%. 5.9% of that is paid by employers, while 3.9% is paid by the employee. However, the thought that an increase in NIB contributions is being considered isn't sitting well with some residents.
I don't know where they're sitting, I don't know where they're standing, I don't know what they're sleeping on, but they need to wake up and smell this coffee to help the Bahamian people, not to put the Bahamian people down and go cause Bahamian people to have to come out more of their paycheck than what we're doing now. Rise the people pay.
But they can't increase. NIB, food store going up, gas going up. How am I supposed to live?
But Lorenzo Moss is of a different view. He says government should look into raising contributions, just not right now.
That's something they really should be looking into after the pandemic and people being struggling and a lot of people didn't have work, and that's something that should look at another 5-10 years from now. I don't think it's a good thing for now, not right now.
As you just heard there, taxpayers obviously understand the need for an increase, but their collective realities right now influencing their responses. So the Prime Minister's announcement is some welcome news tonight. Christina?
Thanks for breaking that down for us, Berthany. Well, former Progressive Liberal Party Cabinet Minister Kenred Dorset is suing the Attorney General and contractor Jonathan Ash, alleging malicious prosecution, unlawful arrest, and injury to his personal and professional reputation. Jared Higgs tells us the lawsuit comes a month after the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions dropped its corruption case against Dorset.
Dorset was charged in 2017 with extorting $120,000 from Jonathan Ash. Attorney General Ryan Pinder said the case against Dorset was dropped because the key witness in the case refused to testify without being paid. Dorset is seeking damages inclusive of aggravated and exemplary damages, interest, and costs from the Attorney General and Ash. He alleges that he was unlawfully arrested and imprisoned for 3 days. He further alleges malicious prosecution in respect of multiple spurious charges of extortion, bribery, and misconduct in public office, which malicious prosecution ended on March 11, 2022. Dorset also alleges that he suffered economic loss and damage, including injury to his reputation generally and his profession as an attorney and as an entrepreneur. In 2017, Dorset, former Minister of Labour and National Insurance Shane Gibson, and former Senator and Public Hospitals Authority Chairman Frank Smith were arrested and accused of abusing their office for financial gain in separate matters. They were charged months after the PLP was voted out of office. Gibson was charged with 15 counts of bribery in respect to $280,000 that he was accused of receiving from Ash in exchange for approving payments totaling $1 million for work done following the cleanup efforts in the aftermath of Hurricane Matthew in 2016. Smith was charged with abusing his position as PHA chairman after the award of a $516,000 contract to Barbara Hanna, the owner of Magic Touch Cleaning, to clean the critical care unit of Princess Margaret Hospital. Gibson and Smith were both acquitted. At the time, PLP leader Philip Davis objected to the charges made against the former PLP parliamentarians, arguing that they should never have been brought. Dorset's attorney, Damian Gomez, said that the experience has been a nightmare for his client, who he says has been blackballed by the banks. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Shifting gears, a rebound in tourism has brought booming business at Arawak Key. Our Jasmine Brown caught up with some of those vendors and has this report.
The vendors we spoke to today say business is definitely better than ever, although they say the situation isn't exactly perfect. After being shut down nearly a dozen times during the pandemic due to spikes in COVID cases, Arawak vendors say they are happy to see customers once again filling their dining rooms. Stall owners at the popular spot for tourists and residents say it's a welcomed relief after a rough couple of years brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Happy to be open because some vendors now are still struggling to open up their business, but some of them still didn't rebound yet. But then, they're glad to know that there is some light now ahead of us. And I think we're just happy now that we can have that opportunity and allow persons to come into our restaurants once again.
Because we experienced closure, we adhered greatly to the protocols once we reopened. But now with it lax, we still pay attention to it, but we see, it's easing up. So it's been good for business with the easement of the protocols.
While they're getting more patrons in the door, Arawak Key Conch Fish Food Vendors Association President Rodney Russell says there are still some stall owners who are struggling.
Business in Arawak Key is still in a dilemma. You must understand, we suffered a lot during COVID. Some of our business owners still have not yet reopened their establishments. For the simple reason is because they are skeptical about the pandemic, that because it's not over, we're still trying to be safe. We're still hoping that we keep our customers safe, our patrons, and our families. So therefore, some of us are scanty operating.
Russell says of the 32 stalls on Arawak Key, 5 are still unable to open. 15 months ago, he told our news team that nearly half of Arawak Key restaurants remain closed. Another sore point for vendors would be the non-functioning public bathrooms, which they say has been bad for business, as customers have been forced to use portable toilets for months. The Arawak Key business owners spoke out moments after 2 cabinet ministers toured the facilities. Agriculture and Marine Resources Minister Clay Sweeting promised to have the issue addressed.
The bathrooms on the west side of Arawak Key should be completed by this week with automated bathrooms, not just manual, and the ones on the east side should be completed at the end of April, beginning of May.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Beautiful breezy conditions in the capital today. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks, Christina, and welcome everybody for our first look at weather on this warm Wednesday evening. Comfortable temperatures outside the studios in the upper 70s with a bit of a breeze, 78 right now with a few clouds. The winds are still out of the east-southeast at 13 miles per hour, and your feels-like temperature at 77. Satellite view, quiet around the islands today, lots of blue skies and breezy conditions. Still some remnant moisture down there. The southeast Bahamas associated with remnant boundary that's hanging out down there. A couple of small showers. But all in all, should be a very nice evening setting up for us for this evening. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Thanks, Greg. Still to come, national regatta plans are revealed today. Plus, COVID-19 protocols may be relaxed, but the health minister is warning Bahamians to be responsible. And later, Major League highlights in sports. The details when Our News returns.
size at 6'5".
Hi, this is Shamik.
Around $220,000 is being injected into the Exume economy as officials get ready for the first regatta since the start of the pandemic. The bulk of that figure is coming from the Ministry of Agriculture and Family Island Affairs. Minister responsible, Clay Sweeting, stresses how important these events are for island economies.
We need to reiterate that $100,000 or $200,000 is nothing to the overspill of the lives that will be touched who's been economically deprived for so many years. Precisely. And I mean, I think that the importance of regattas is not just cultural and social, it's also about how we can help move and be an economic driver for persons in the Family Islands who are not accustomed to the amount of tourists or domestic of the economy of what we have in Nassau. Everything is booked, cars, rentals, everything is booked, and we hope that this excitement continues throughout the Family Islands.
The regatta is slated for April 21st through 24th. Given the COVID climate, National Family Island Regatta Committee Chair Danny Strawn says the onshore activities will be supplemented by Bahamian entertainers. Of course, the traditional sailing races will be ongoing each day. Residents say the event will be worth the wait.
It feels so nice. It feels like it's never even happened. Everybody excited. If you look at it, everybody doing the construction, getting ready. I signed and stuff even before I'm finished. So I'm excited. I just fly in this morning, straight from the airport here. I'm working. I just can't wait.
Whether it's for the straw market or not, just for the island, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, although COVID-19 case numbers are low across the country heading into the Easter weekend, Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville is reminding Bahamians of their responsibility to stay safe and stop the spread of the virus.
The responsibility of every Bahamian in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is to practice the appropriate protocols. Once those protocols are practiced and implemented, we will definitely see that we're able to keep our cases down and be in a position to open other sectors of the economy so that people can get back to work and we're able to sustain ourselves as a country.
That includes wearing a mask, sanitizing, and physical distancing. Meanwhile, churches may be filled this weekend for the first time in 2 years, now that the Ministry of Health and Wellness is allowing churches to operate at 100% capacity. Dr. Darville says government is trying as best as possible to get life back to normal.
As the numbers of COVID cases begin to fall in the country, it is the responsibility of the Ministry of Health and Wellness through the EOC to begin to relax the rules. The EOC met and they felt it appropriate to allow churches to meet at 100% with the necessary healthcare protocols. And I believe that this particular Holy Week and this particular season, I believe that the churches have always acted responsible, and I believe they will continue to do so.
There are still a few things you need to know ahead of the Easter holiday season. Plus, in sports, catching up with WNBA star Jonquil Jones. More on that when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5".
Hi, this is Shamik.
This is our news. Welcome back. It's Holy Week and happening right now at Christ Church Cathedral, the Chrism Mass, one of the most important observances on the Christian calendar in the lead up to Easter. During the Mass, the bishop blesses the oil of the catechumens and the oil of the sick and consecrates the sacred chrism. Representatives from parishes will then receive the oils and carry them back to their churches. The holy oils blessed at the Chrism Mass are used in the sacraments of baptism, confirmation, and anointing of the sick, as well as for ordination of priests and consecration of churches and altars. And international and domestic travel is roaring back to life after 2 years of travel bans, constantly changing testing requirements, and even brief border closures. Now the country's #1 gateway will see some of the busiest travel days of the year. NASA Airport Development Company is giving some holiday travel tips to make sure travelers get to their destinations without flying off the deep end. NAD Operations Director Jonathan Hanna.
Get to the airport earlier. You can expect increased passenger volumes. Please be sure to check the travel requirements if you're traveling internationally. Testing requirements change on a day's notice, or it depends on what's happening in the country that you're going to. And so if you're unsure, please check with the airline. Check your the validity of your passport. A lot of persons haven't traveled for 2 years, and so you'd be surprised how those things expire and you don't recognize it until it's too late.
Hanna says safety is also key.
We have over 80 hand sanitizers throughout the entire facility. We've implemented physical barriers to reduce that physical touch point between the guest and the airport worker. We have increased signage encouraging social distancing throughout all of the facilities, and we're investing in new technologies that reduce that physical touch point, like Grab, which allows persons to order food contactlessly and pick it up.
Two Bahamians, Jazz and Lucius, both in Major League action Tuesday. Meanwhile, we hear from WNBA star Jonquil Jones. Here's Marcellus Hall.
Thanks a lot, Christina. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. I know the Major League Baseball season has just gotten started, but it's certainly been a good one to this point in terms of having our Bahamians on the field. Most notably, Lucius Fox making his second start of the season last night, taking on the world champion Atlanta Braves. Let's take a look.
Bahamian Lucius Fox making his second start for the Washington Nationals as they took on the Atlanta Braves last night. Lucius starting at shortstop, batting eighth. Would not have a good day at the plate. He would go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Eventually, they would lose 16-4. But it's good to see Lucius out there on the field. Nationals will be back in action again today against the Braves. They play an early game. Should be this afternoon. We'll give you some details on whether or not Lucius plays in this one and also how he does in terms of his offensive production. Meanwhile, Jazz Chisholm continuing to play well for the Miami Marlins. They played the Anaheim Angels. Mixed results. This one goes right to late innings, but the Marlins do come up on the losing side of things, 4-3, as Jazz does at least strike for a home run. Jazz going deep in the 8th inning, a 2-run shot that turns out to be not enough. It did tie the game at the time, but again, they do not hold on for the win. Marlins again will be in action as well. Continuing this week, they'll continue their series with the Anaheim Angels. That game, actually with the Phillies, that game comes your way on Thursday as they hit the road, returning back home to host the Philadelphia Phillies. Jonquil Jones, Grand Bahama native, is back home these days, the WNBA star, taking a moment after being in Russia, of all places, during the start of the war. Jonquil talking basketball and what's ahead.
It feels good, you know, definitely was a achievement that I always wanted, something that I, always strive for, but to actually hold the trophy and to say that I was MVP, it meant a lot. I wish we could have finished it off with a championship, but it definitely was something that made me feel really good, and I felt like I had accomplished. So this year we bring the majority of our team back, and so we have the chance to go out there and really make a statement.
And that's your look at sports here on this Hump Day Wednesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Marcellus. There may be some rain for the holiday weekend. And before we go, a boys club says thank you to our news. We'll tell you why after this.
Got size at 6'5".
Hi, this is Shamik.
Welcome back to our news. It sounds like there may be some rain in the forecast. Greg, what's it looking like out there?
Thanks again, Christina, and welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. Ridge of high pressure remains dominant weather feature across the area. It's in firm control of our weather pattern, keeping us in that breezy east to southeasterly flow. We did have some spotty showers associated with a remnant frontal boundary that's hanging out near Hispaniola and Tricks and Caicos Islands. That should continue to push out towards the south and east, but that high pressure ridge will slide out, and that will keep most of the weather systems at bay across the islands. We do have a little bit of an upper level disturbance that's moving across the Gulf of Mexico. Should cross Florida later on tonight and into tomorrow, so we could see a couple isolated showers across the northern Bahamas by Thursday into Friday. Boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Small craft caution is in place. Your winds will be southeasterly at 15 to 20 knots. Seas running 4 to 7 feet over the ocean. Tide is presently high, and it will be low at 37 minutes past midnight. For the southeast Bahamas, an advisory is still in place for you guys down there. East to southeasterly flow 15 to 25 knots, and your sea is very rough, 5 to 8 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through next Wednesday. Big holiday weekend coming up. A couple isolated showers expected on Friday, and then the weekend looks pretty nice. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. For 25 years, the Grand Bahama-based Falcons Boys Club has been keeping young men in Grand Bahama safe. The mentoring program is a way to keep them off the streets, away from crime and violence, and hopefully into better citizens. Just recently, they thanked some of the organizations and individuals who helped to keep the program going.
This morning, we want each and every single one of you to know that we thank God for all that you've done in our community, the sacrifices that you've made.
The priests, the politicians, the media, charities, and individuals who make it happen, all honored with plaques and words of gratitude. In the audience, young men of the Lewis Yard Primary School. The message, one of hope and encouragement from leaders of different political ideologies who all share a common Grand Bahama heritage.
Remember the 3 Ds to succeed. Be dedicated. Be determined. And most of all, be disciplined.
You should always remember that you are a Bahamian. You are from the Bahamas, and you are expected to be the best.
I also went to the Olympic Games 2 times to represent the country. I'm in Parliament now, and I sat in the cabinet. So like I did, so can you.
No matter the school that I attend, whether I have 1 parent or 2 parents in the home, no matter what anybody say negative or bad about me, God bless you, we love you.
So I want to encourage all of you to work together, to stay together, to become friends for life, and never forget the journey that you're on. And as you stay together, as you work together, as you keep your prize at the right height, and if you hold on to God, trust me, you will achieve anything you want to achieve in life.
BTC's Chief Executive Officer Andre Foster encouraging greatness within the Lewis Yard Boys, while also awarding devices to the school's top achievers.
Talent that you guys possess, and the fact that you are in a world that is changing so quickly, you need to embrace every opportunity that comes your way. And I think it's programs like the Falcons Boys Club that, again, has an amazing history, comes from an amazing island, and it has a huge focus on building men.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that ain't light up there. That ain't light, that heavy. When I was a little boy, they had a rap artist called Heavy D. That's heavy.
Keep up the good work. Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.